Today we are going to discuss a topic in zoology generally. Okay, so initially we need to know what is zoology actually. Zoology means zoo means animals, ology means study. So study of animals is known as zoology. In zoology, we are going to study about the fluids, the body fluids, and its circulation. Okay, so many organisms develop their own type of own systematic circulations using different fluids. So in that one type of a few types of circulations we are going to discuss today. Generally we see organisms, right? Today we are generally we have we eat food, right? We eat food, we drink, when we take in air, and we grow. So how it is happening? It happens only when every cell in a body grows. It happens. So how the cell is growing? When it is nourished only, it will grow. So for its nourishment, we need to supply some nutrition for it. How that nutrition is reaching that cell? Because cell is a very, 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 very small, minute structure which we cannot see even with the naked eye. So such small structures in our body, how they are nourished, how they are provided with nutrition, we have the doubt. So that's what we are going to discuss. For that nutrition, certain mechanisms have been developed in each and every organism. For example, if in our cells, if we provide certain nutrition to our cells, they grow into tissues, and they in turn they grow into organs, and they in turn grow into organ systems, and finally an organism has been developed. Okay, in the same way as we have developed, different organisms develop different types of mechanisms. And some, for example, in Porifera, which is a primary phylum in Porifera, in which sponges have a body cavity and they don't have any body fluid. The water passes into the body cavity, reaches the body cavity, where the water is filtered and where the exchange of gases and nutrients will take place in the body cavity. And we go into fishes. Fishes have a type of heart called, one artery and one ventricle, in which the blood is mixed. The artery receives the deoxygenated blood, and that deoxygenated blood again reaches the ventricle. At the same time, oxygenated blood which has been reached the gills comes and goes into the auricle, and from there it reaches the ventricle. There is no, it's a not true circulation, because in such nuclear circulations, the deoxygenated blood and the oxygenated blood is being mixed up. Okay, these are general topics before we going into the point, right? Then when we go into the reptiles and amphibians, except in reptiles, crocodiles have a well mechanized heart. I'm not talking about the crocodiles and reptiles. I'm only talking of certain amphibians and certain reptiles. They have a three-chambered heart, like two auricles and one ventricle. From the right auricle, the deoxygenated blood enters the ventricle, and the oxygenated blood from the left auricle enters and again enters into the ventricle, where the deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood get mixed over there. Even this mechanism is also not so successful. So further organisms like mammals, we are part of it, have developed a well mechanized heart or circulatory path for the circulation of blood in ourselves with 4-chambered heart. Okay, we have developed a good, well developed heart for the pumping of blood and all. But for the pumping of blood, for that pumping we need some source, right? Which is known as blood. Okay, we develop even blood. So we are going to discuss about blood right now. So blood is somewhat composed of, it's a fluid like matrix material. Fluid means we generally say water is a fluid, but where compared to blood and water, it is somewhat added with some matrix like material. So we call it a fluid matrix. blood, which is composed of some formed elements and plasma. Okay. Now, now we are going to discuss the blood. Clearly listen. Blood. Okay. Blood. Blood is of two types. It is formed of two types: formed elements, which is 45%, and plasma, which is 55%. Okay. Plasma is mostly okay. Plasma is mostly of 90 to 95%. It's full of water, and that remaining 5% to 10% is with proteins like fibrogen, globulins, and albumins, which are major proteins in plasma. Okay. Now clearly listen. We are going to discuss about blood. Blood is divided in. It is composed of formed elements and plasma. Formed elements are 45% of blood, and plasma is 55% of blood. Now again, plasma is divided into 90 to 95% of water and 10 to 5% of proteins. Those proteins are fibrogen, globulins, and albumins. Okay, fibrogens are somewhat play very important role during clotting, because when a blood gets, when we get injured, but blood need to be clotted, right? Without clotting, we'll lose a lot of blood. In such cases, a protein like fibrogen is very important to help us. And globulins have the major role like defense mechanism, because when we are injured, certain phagocytes enter our body, so we need to defend or fight against those phagocytes. In such cases, globulins are really helpful to us. And the next is the albumins, which are part of plasma, of course. These albumins help in osmotic balance, a pressure balance in our body, because when we are injured and certain blood loses and some pressure differences occurs in our body, to maintain that pressure differences, these albumins help us, which is we have discussed about the 55% of the blood, that is plasma. And next 45% which we are going to discuss is the formed elements. See, I have displaced the formed elements chart. Okay, formed elements are divided into three parts mainly. One is erythrocytes, and the second is leukocytes, and third is platelets. Erythrocytes are also known as red blood cells. In our body, we have red blood cells. Generally, we say, right? Because our blood is because of blood is because red. It is because of erythrocytes. Why erythrocytes are red? They have a iron containing pigment called hemoglobin. Okay, it helps in transporting respiratory gases to the cells. Okay, this hemoglobin has the capacity to carry the gases to the cell, whether it is oxygen or carbon deoxygenated blood, carbon dioxide, and it has a hemoglobin. No, for that reason it is red in color, and its lifespan is almost 120 days, I think, and they are recreated or they are generated in the bone marrow. So with the help of erythrocytes, we can every cell in our body gets the iron and the oxygen, and from there the carbon dioxide is again taken out from the cells. Again it is exchanged near the lungs. Okay, that is according to the erythrocytes. And we're going to discuss about the leukocytes. Leukocytes are nothing but we call them in another name called white blood cells, because they have no color, so we call them white blood cells. Whereas erythrocytes, they are red in color, so we call them red blood cells. So leukocytes again divided into two parts: granulocytes and agranulocytes. Okay, see, it's very clear. That for that reason I have drawn the flow chart, so that it will be easy to look into it and what are present in that subtitles. Okay, now leukocytes are divided into granulocytes and agranulocytes. Okay, now We are under leukocytes. We're going to discuss about granulocytes. Granulocytes come which contain neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. Okay, these are all proteins, somewhat proteins. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, uh, these neutrophils. Okay, they have a role in in nature. Phagocytic means whenever some foreign substance enters a body through the blood during injury, they fight them. The neutrophils fight against them and protect us from that strange or that foreign body. Okay. At the next stage, eosinophils. Eosinophils are, see, we are, when we are injured, we get sometimes, infections, or we get allergies. Okay, because the hurts or the damages to our body are not only phagocytic nature. Some are allergic, some are infectious, some are inflammatory. So for each injury, or for each tumor, we have different source of fighting in nature, or different source of uh, you know different source of systems in our body. One of the neutrophils are phagocytic in nature. Eosinophils are inflammatory. They take over infectious and allergic natures are fought by eosinophils. And basophils, they release some amino acids like histamine, serotonin, and heparin. These are some amino acids which are helpful for the basophils during inflammatory. During we get, sometimes skin inflammatory, right? In such cases, these basophils are helpful. Okay, that is granulocytes. And when we are go under to agranulocytes, we see lymphocytes and monocytes. Okay, monocytes have the same role compared to neutrophils, such as phagocytic, whereas lymphocytes have a role called immune defense. They protect us, they defend us, the lymphocytes. Okay, this is about leukocytes. Now we are going to go to the next part called platelets. Platelets are also called thrombocytes, are the fragments produced from megakaryocytes. These megakaryocytes are some specialized cells found. See this table, the blood group, yours is A. I'm not talking about positivity and all. Why, I'll tell you about that. We'll just generally discuss about this, and we'll go to the positivity. Okay. Uh, Actually, the person who is known for A, blood group A. I'm not talking about positivity. I'm only talking about A. A person with blood group A as, okay, antigen A, means the RBC or the red blood cell which he has an antigen A, and it doesn't have antibodies regarding an A, antigen A. He only has antibodies B. Okay, for him, he can get blood from O and at the same time A. I'll tell you why he can get from O. Okay, and the person with B antigen, also known as person with B blood group, will be having B antigens on his RBC and with antibodies A. Okay, and persons with AB will have both the antigens regarding A and B, and they will not be having any antibodies in them. Whereas person with blood group will be having no blood group O will not be having any antigens, but will be having antibodies A and B. Okay, now Mehboob, you're of A blood group. Okay, when you are A blood group, a person with B blood group, he cannot give you blood because he'll be having antibody A, because the person with B antigen will be having antibody A. So the person with the B blood group cannot give you because he'll be having an antibody A in playing phagos. why we say that even we have that, this is generally why we say that A positive is there is another antigen present on the RB cells. Okay, that is RH antigen we say, which is rhesus monkeys. Okay, rhesus monkeys. Okay, it is absorbed in such monkeys. So we name that antigen as RH antigen. The persons who have that RH antigen in addition to the blood group, no, those are known as positive. And the persons who don't have that RH antigen, they are considered as RH negative. Now, Mehboob, you are blood group A. You will be having antigen A on your RBC along with RH positive antigen. So you are hence known as RH positive A group, A positive group. Okay, that's it. That is about.
What about AB plus?
When you play or when you cut the onions, we cut our fingers, or when we play on the ground, we I recently fell on the ground and from the bike and escaped my knee. So my blood gets almost 30 seconds, 20 seconds, my blood goes, but after that it gets clotted. That is because of we have certain mechanisms in our body, right? That is the beauty of our circulation. It has developed a well mechanism. Okay, I'll clearly tell you, when we fall or when we injure, that injury in our body, okay, that injury in our body stimulates the platelets. Before I told you, Mehboob, the platelets play a very important role in our clotting feature. So the injury which we felt or the injury which we got stimulates the platelets. The platelets release certain factors. I just don't want to mention the factors because we need to be condensed to the syllabus. We shouldn't go beyond, because biology or science is a subject, it's a vast subject. We cannot reach out, because as we go in depth, it goes on and time lags. Our aim is to reach NEET. So the injury stimulates the platelets. The platelets in turn stimulates certain factors. Those factors activate the clotting factors present in the plasma. I told you, plasma acts as a fibrogen-like material, like I told you starting. Okay, it has three materials I told you: fibrinogens, globulins, and albumins. In that plasma, we have fibrogen. Okay, I'm again telling you the sequence. The injury we get, that injury stimulates the platelets. That platelets stimulate certain factors. Those factors activate the plasma containing fibrogen. Okay, that fibrogen releases thrombokinase enzyme called thrombokinase. Okay, that what is the main role of that thrombokinase enzyme is it activates prothrombin. Okay, it activates the prothrombin factor to become a thrombin. Okay, that thrombin helps and forms certain fiber-like network structures during injury. During when we cut, right? We stitch up, right? We stitch a cloth, or we stitch with the thread, right? We form a network joining those two cloths or two materials, getting those two together. In that same way, that thrombokinase helps to produce a thrombin from prothrombin. Okay, it's confusing, but it's better after when we discuss, or after listening, once we read, we'll get that idea. Of course, it's really confusing, that terminology, because they're somewhat closely related to one another. See, okay, I'll tell you that flow chart. Okay, the injury which we get stimulates the platelets present in the blood. The platelets again stimulate certain factors. Okay, those factors again stimulate or activate plasma containing fibrogen. Okay, that fibrogen releases thrombokinase. It's an enzyme which acts as like catalyst. Okay, that catalyst like thrombokinase activates prothrombin to become thrombin. This thrombin helps to form fibers like network for an injury, forming a mesh-like network system on an injury, preventing the flow of blood going out of the body and saving a lot of blood. Okay. Certain organisms also have, which are inferior circulatory systems, like arthropods. Cockroach, when you cut cockroach, it doesn't have any vessels or any blood vessels, any arteries, any veins. It doesn't have. It just blood flows in. It goes into the body cavities, and it goes into the body cavities, and it rotates in the form of sinuses. But whereas the blood system or the circulatory system in our body, it is highly developed and it is a closed circulatory system in our body. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the circulatory system in human organisms. Okay. Actually, generally people say that the heart is at right side, isn't it, Mehboob?
Heart is that?
Generally people say that heart is left side, right?
Yes, but it is placed
it's between the lungs. Between the lungs, due to that, the heartbeat or the functioning of the heart is felt at the left side. Okay, it's not exactly at the left side. it is generally heart is very very sensitive organ in our body, and it needs to be functioned every day, and it is needs to protect from the outside surrounding effects which we face. Generally we somebody push us or somebody hurt us, somebody beat us or somebody kick us. During that the heart shouldn't be disturbed, right, with that shocks. For that it is covered with the double walled membrane called pericardium. It's very thick. It protects the heart. It contains a fluid, pericardial fluid, between those two walls. It's a thick two-layered membrane called pericardium. Okay, the heart is provided with. I have not marked in the chart, but because I don't want to name it too much, you will get confused. I just wanted to show the directions of the blood. That's it over here. Okay, it is protected with the pouch like it is put in a pouch like double membraned uh, membraned no double membrane called pericardium with pericardial fluid present between those two layers. Okay, now I wrote RA. Our heart is generally four chambered. I wrote RA, that is right artery. Okay, and uh, you can see the left side LA, that is which is not clearly written, that is LA, that is called left artery. And
Can you
hello,
just keep your mouse over the place where you are explaining?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
this is right artery. Okay, I've written RA. Okay, and
Yeah.
this is LA, left artery, because this is left side. Okay, hello,
Yes, yes, yes.
this is right ventricle, this is right side, and this is left ventricle because this is left side. You can see the size difference, right? This is bigger than this, and this is bigger than this. Okay,
Okay.
now it's very simple, Mehu. I just listen. Now you can see this vena cava. I've written one blood, one pipe over here. Okay,
Yes.
this pipe receives blood from body parts. This pipe is again divided in two parts. Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava receives blood from head and thorax part. Thorax part means your chest part and your head part. Okay, it receives from that superior vena cava receives blood from head part and chest part, whereas inferior vena cava receives blood from right from your toe, the bottom part of your body. Okay, which blood it receives? It receives deoxygenated blood because the deoxygen means the blood with the removed all nutrients and all the oxygen is has been emptied, and with the carbon dioxide the blood comes. Okay, from the bodies generally, right? Generally we receive blood from body parts is deoxygenated blood because the body parts take the oxygen, then they reverse the deoxygenated blood. from body parts, came into the right auricle. From the auricle, through the tricuspid valves, it came into right ventricle. Okay, when it came into right ventricle, it need to be oxygenated because the use the blood came. Again, it need to be refilled, right? It needs to be loaded with oxygen. So from here, the blood has been gone to the pulmonary artery. Here, from the pulmonary artery, like this, like this, like this, it goes to the lungs. Okay, here by diffusion or certain pressure differences, the blood brought from pulmonary artery is exchanged over here. Because generally, lungs are the ones who play the respiratory role in our body, right? So, when the blood reaches the lungs, out there, the deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated. The carbon dioxide which is present in the blood, when it reaches the lungs, okay, the high concentration of the carbon dioxide uh, gets diffused in the lungs, and the high concentrated of oxygen blood in the lungs, the oxygen gets diffused into the vessel, where the pulmonary artery. It came to right auricle. From right auricle, it came to right ventricle. From right ventricle, it came to pulmonary artery. It went to the lungs in the name of pulmonary
Okay,
artery.
nice. And it will enter
Came to
the
pulmonary vein, went to pulmonary vein, came to left vein auricle. From left auricle by through bicuspid valve, it came to left ventricle. Now the blood need to be reached to the body parts, right? That's the final step. The blood again needs to go to the body parts for again providing the oxygen. From here, the blood goes to the systemic aorta. It is known as aorta. Over here, okay. Over here, there's a valves called semi-lunar valves. Okay, these are called over here. There's a valves present called semi-lunar valves. Through this systemic aorta, they reach the body parts. All this way. They go over here. They reach the leg or the hand or the toe. They go there. The toe cells are ready for. They all know they are full. No, they need food. The toe needs food. The toe needs some oxygen. So when blood comes here, it takes in oxygen and gives back carbon dioxide. Then carbon dioxide again comes like this, goes like this, comes like this, again goes like this. This cycle continues, and this cycle is known as cardiac cycle. Okay, for this functioning of this entire single circle, okay, 0.8 seconds takes place. What type? 0.8 seconds for each cardiac cycle to happen. Okay, this is generally how blood is going in, how blood is coming in. I'll be telling you. Okay, that is how blood has been transferred to our body parts. Okay.
okay.
You can see the two dots of your mehu. One dot here, one dot here.
Yes.
You sleep night time, right? That time the heart need to be function, right? Because you sleep, but not your body parts. Because during you sleep, your food need to be digest. Your lung need to be functioning. Your lungs need to be functioning. your nerves need to be functioned. Your cells, phagocyte cells, need to fight against the foreign bodies which enter. At the same time, for that function to happen, the heart has to be function, because it need to supply food and oxygen and other factors to every body. For the every heart has to take over the requirement of the entire body. But when we sleep, but when we are resting, but still at that time the heart needs to be functioning. For that functioning, these are called nodal tissues. Okay, these tissues have potentials. They have the capacity to generate potentials, electrical potentials. Electrical potentials is nothing but simple. I'll tell you, we have nerves, right? We generally say stretch a hand, we stretch. Close a hand, we close our fingers. Walk, we'll walk. In the same way, these dots, the upper side, the upper right corner of the auricle is called SAN, sino-arterial node. It is known as, this dot is known as sino-arterial node. It generates some electrical potentials. These potentials, okay, some electrons we generate, right? Some electric current type it generates. As at that time, these tricapsid valves close. During that time, during the closure of tricapsid valves, we hear a sound called lub. Okay, did you hear anytime the sound lub?
Yes.
That is because when the blood comes here and goes into the ventricles, and after come the blood have entered into the ventricle, these need to be closed, because certain pressure has been developed on these ventricles. During that pressure development, if these valves don't close, the blood again goes return back into the auricles. So that time these valves need to be closed. During that closure of these valves, we hear a sound called lump. Okay, no, the blood enters like this. During this entry and after entry, this semi-lunar, and again our here also, when blood enters this, the semi-lunar valves close and they create or produce a sound called dub. So this is how we get a sound called lap dub. Okay, this is how I told for this entire circle to happen, we need 8.8 seconds. So, of course, the heartbeat waves, generally they say heart, beats for 72 times. When a person with high BP has somewhat a different, but generally on an average, people say that heart beats for 72 times. Okay, that's it.
This 8.8.
This is sand. And this is avian node. It comes like this, and it holds like fingers, like projections it has. Actually, it is not shown over here. It is called Purkinje fibers. They have a projections like our hand has, finger projections. Even it has, and it holds like how we hold a squeezing ball, right? Stress ball. In that same way, it starts squeezing, and the blood is out into the pulmonary artery and systemic aorta. Okay. Now we need generally the doctors need to find how the heart is functioning, right? They cannot just say, they cannot, of course, generally, or with not so exact accuracy, they can say that heart is not functioning. But with stethoscope, they can do it, but that will not be so much accurate. For that accuracy, they have we have a machine called ECG, electrocardiograph. Okay, this is called electrograph. I think we see generally in many movies in hospital scenes. The graphs goes up and down. Okay, this is ECG. For it is being designed to study the functioning of the heart. Okay, you can see the P wave, Q wave, R wave, S wave, T wave, isn't it? Mehboob, uh,
Yes.
this this P wave is there, no? Actually, art is polarized. Polarized means it is electrified with the nodal tissues, those spoon rods. Okay, when that heart is polarized, and when that auricles, I told the upper two chambers, when they get squeezed, for that squeezing, it needs to be repolarized. The electric current or the polarization, the electric field from that, the auricles need to be removed for the contraction. For that, when the contraction of the auricle takes place, this P wave as will be generated. Okay, so this the indication of the P wave indicates that the auricles or the auricles are being contracted. Okay, as we go on, the process go on, and when we come to the Q wave, this indicates the contraction of the ventricles, because when the blood enters the auricles, yeah, the blood need to be sent into the ventricles, right? For that, the auricles need to be contracted, systolic, contraction. Another term we say systolic stage. It need to be systolic, so that systolic stage is represented by P wave. Again, that is that will again continue to the ventricles. That ventricles need to be contracted as systolic. That is indicated by QRS wave. This QRS wave indicates that the ventricles are being contracted. Okay, as we go on, this T wave indicates repolarization. Actually, in the P wave, the auricles are depolarized. In this QRS wave, the ventricles are depolarized. Okay, depolarized. Now, in the T wave, the ventricles need to be repolarized. Okay, they again need to be re-electrified. Okay, this is the diagrammatic graphical representation of the art. Okay,